Hey, it's time for another math notebook assignment. Today your assignment is to compare these numbers, 678 and 867. Draw a picture and use words to prove your answer. To practice, let's do it with two different numbers. Let's use the numbers 542 and 378. And your job is to compare to see which is greater. Now, if you remember, we've learned these symbols that we use: less than, greater than, and equal. Let's practice using those symbols just for a minute. If we are comparing the numbers 6 and 2, we know that 6 is greater than 2. And so which symbol do we use? Remember the alligator story? He opens his mouth wide to the greater side. So 6 is greater than 2. Let's try it with the numbers 4 and 8. When we look at those, we know that 4 is less than 8. So which symbol do we use? Remember the alligator. He opens wide to the greater side. So 8 is greater, so we're going to open wide to the greater side. We would read this as 4 is less than 8. Okay, now we're going to try it with bigger numbers. 542 and 378. Now this is our practice. When you're doing yours, you're going to compare the two numbers on your red sheet. So don't forget that. Okay, the first step in comparing these numbers is to underline the first digit in the number. In 542, the first digit is the 5, so I'm going to underline it. In 378, the first digit is 3, so we're going to underline the 3. Now, I know that 5 is greater than 3. So that means that 542 will be greater than 378. So I'm going to use the greater than sign. 542 is greater than, so I'm going to open wide to the greater side, 378, because 5 is greater than 3. Now we need to draw a picture and use words to prove your answer. How do we know that this is correct? We could make a quick sketch. 542 has 5 hundreds, 4 tens, and 2 ones. 378 has 3 hundreds, 7 tens, and 8 ones. Okay, and I can see that there are more hundreds in 542, and I could just even match them up to prove that. Look, there are more hundreds in 542 than there are in 378. So that drawing proves that 542 is greater. But I also need to use words to prove my answer. So I could write something such as, I know my answer is correct. I know my answer is correct because 5 is greater than 3. Greater than 3. So 500 is greater than 300. Okay, so let's review. I compared the numbers 542 and 378. I found out that 542 is greater. I started with the first digit and underlined it so I could see exactly what I'm comparing, the 5 and the 3. 5 is greater than 3, so I used the greater than side. I also drew a picture showing the hundreds and how there are more hundreds in 542 than there are in 378. And then I wrote my answer to prove that I know that my answer is correct. Now when you're working, you have to compare the numbers 678 and 867. Follow the same procedure as what I did to you in our practice together, where you need to write the numbers, make a greater than or equal sign. Don't forget to underline the first digit so you know which numbers to compare. Draw a picture and write how you know your answer is correct. Okay? When you're finished, put your notebook back into the basket and I'll look at your answer later. Okay.